Welcome to the Girl Dad Show.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. I'm super excited for having Rob here on the show. Rob, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Young. Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in. Why don't you tell the listeners what you do for a living?
I run a company called Uare.ai, the letter Uare.ai. And basically, we enable people to create individual AIs of themselves so they can use it in their own life or share it or even monetize it. And so we have doctors, lawyers, accountants, writers, podcasters, people who want to make an AI and share it with the world.
Got it. And then the idea is that people can then interact with that AI version of yourself and be able to have access to you and your experiences and thoughts.
That's correct. And we built a specific model for this type of AI, which is called a human life model. And so we figured out through science and working with clients is that we have a very different data set as humans than a large language model, which is compiled human knowledge. Your individual knowledge data set, it also incorporates your personal stories, your emotions, and your personal reasoning, your value system. So we're able to sort of map that in a model. And then when you're interacting with yourself, it's like your best therapist, I will say. My best therapist is myself. Or you share it with others and they can basically utilize your knowledge and expertise to help themselves and better things, or even do work. Maybe they want to use your AI to create a presentation or write something or create a spreadsheet, but it'll always have your expertise and deep knowledge and personal experiences in it.
That's awesome. I have a couple more questions on it before we go into the more double clicking into the actual product. How did you get into this?
I previously ran a company for 28 years called LivePerson, and I invented when you chat on websites for customer care. And I invented that technology in 1997. So if you ever chat on a website, it didn't exist. And then I invented it because I was building websites. And then I patented that technology, and then I took that company public. And then we were basically became a very large conversational AI company. And we were 3,000 people. It's a public company. It was about $4.5 billion in market cap. And what I saw, though, working with chat and messaging and AI in the contact center was this human dialogue, and it's a very unstructured dialogue, but it has a uniqueness to it per human. Like no contact center interaction was the same. Everyone had their twist on how they viewed dealing with their credit card company or their telco. So I started to see the individuality in that data set, and I thought that data set is more representative of humanity than a data set that's been aggregated of knowledge that's been on the internet, because all the current models. So that kind of got me into thinking about humans. I left that company 3 years ago, and I decided to start what is today Uare.ai 2 years ago.
That's awesome. I love that. So you invented something that was very, very novel at the time, and you were able to scale it to a publicly traded company. What a ride. That's an amazing ride.
I was 33 years old. It was a dream of mine since I was a kid. Since I was like 14 years old, I read a book in the library about going public, about being public. And I thought, man, I still have the book. I stole it out of the library, which I feel bad about. I was so intrigued by the idea that felt like it was a really high form of business. Like that's the Olympics. And so I worked so hard. I had a lot of failures in my life. And then I started LivePerson in 1995 after my first company failed out of college. And from there, I sort of built it into what it became, sort of one client at a time, and learned a lot about, obviously, I was an early pioneer in AI, and especially for the enterprise. And so I always had a vision of humanity and machine. And I always felt humans are first and machines are always to be supportive. And I don't like current dialogue is machine first, humans are replaceable. And I just don't prescribe to that vision. I have a vision where humans are benefiting from humanity and more abundant because of humanity, because of this technology, not losing their jobs. And we're not smart enough compared to Claude. I just don't see that world.
It's awesome. And then that's kind of why you're embarking on this new adventure.
Yeah, that's why, visions are just given to you. And you even as a kid, I was given a lot of visions of what I wanted, whether it's washing a car, I had a washing car business or whatever, I don't know. Things just come to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're part of they're more of a journey that's interconnected. And no matter whether it's a bad day or a good day, because you have a lot of those, both of those, you got to stay on the straight and narrow of who you are and why you were created and what you're here to give before you leave, because you will leave. You know,
Yeah, that's awesome. I do have a random question about the journey of being a publicly traded company and now jumping back into early
private.
stage. Yeah, what's been the hardest thing to adjust to?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to run a public company anymore. To be honest, it was just after pre-COVID. I loved every part about it because we were an office culture and we built a whole culture. Our core values are based on meaningful connections. One of our core values, create meaningful connections. It was really based around this connection we had with each other and our customers using our products like the chat.
Mm,
And post COVID, it was like nobody wanted to come back to the office and it was just a disaster. And I don't know, I kind of felt, I felt out of place. I just didn't feel that it was it was really what I wanted. And then I decided let's go back to being hands on. And I will say, when you get to a certain size, we had a half a billion in revenue and 3,000 people. I had a big leadership team. Days kind of just happen, and they're going to happen in a certain way. And you got a lot of things are programmed. Here, I know when I wake up, I'm like, right when I open my phone, I'm like, I wonder what's coming for me. Is it a good day? Is it something bad? Like that's the
got it.
difference. Like, there's not enough layers between you and this. I'll call it the street. Like you
Yeah,
are on the street,
yeah.
and everything comes to you. So the whole thing is like in those days where I feel like there's I'm getting pounded. I've been through so many of those days. I'm like, this is going to be today. It's going to end the way it's going to end. I had a saying many years ago, like nothing's ever as bad as it seems,
Mm,
and just ride the day out. And tomorrow, because I've been through enough like days where I was in some bad days when I went public during the .com and everything imploded and I had to fire 90% of the company. I mean, there were days where, it was dark. And so I'm always like, I got through those days. I'll get through whatever's going on today.
yeah,
Everything will be light right now. I'm more excited now. I mean, my wife is like, and my kids can see, I think that I'm just I'm lighter, a lighter person than I was when I was
yeah.
running LivePerson.
So is it safe to assume that your aspirations are now changed? You're no longer looking to take this public?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that. I would love to take a company public under my terms.
Hmm.
I took a public company under a lot of people's terms because I was young. I was a first timer. So like they write the rules and you're like, if you want to go play the rules. If you could write your rules and go public, it's a great place because it allows you to compete on a different level. There are a lot of negativities to it, because quarterly calls and everything. But I wouldn't say that. I guess I just want to build the type of company I want to build now, and we'll see where that part plays in. I have no focus on it. I don't have a desire to do it. I did it. I have a desire to build a big company that can impact the world in a positive way. So that's what I'm trying to do.
It's awesome. And then kind of segueing into what your kids were saying, what do your kids think you do for work?
That's a good question.
Take a guess. Take a
Well,
guess at what they would say.
they think I replicate humans. Like they think that we're like they've talked to my AI and stuff like that. So my AI speaks and everything. So they know exactly what I do. Yeah, so they're in the. I mean, it's funny. I was telling that I work with now. There's 18 of us, and when my kids are 9, 8, and 5, and when I ran LivePerson, obviously they were younger, but and they would come to the office there too, sort of before COVID, but they have a different connection to the business than they did when I ran the other one because
Hmm.
it's a different feel. They know
Mhm.
everybody, 100% of the people in the business there. They only knew a small group of New Yorkers. I was in New York. People like 100, there's like 300 of us there. So it's a lot different than it is here. It feels more like a close knit group than it did there.
Hmm. So they do understand what you're doing and building, and
Yeah,
they've interacted with it.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're like future entrepreneurs. Like my dad was an entrepreneur. My grandparents were my grandparents.
Really?
Yeah, everyone in my family, there isn't too many people where I got a job. I guess we never thought we were good enough to get a job. So
I
everyone, yeah.
love
So I
that.
grew up with an entrepreneurial household, and and my kids are growing up with the same thing. It's like when I left LivePerson, I had choices, and I will say the number one thing that I felt was important was my kids. Like I've heard this saying that your kids will learn from your actions by watching you doing things. And then
Mm,
when I exited LivePerson, there was a lot of stuff that happened over there. We had an activist investor. It wasn't like I left. I left because I had to. I left because I was forced to, actually.
mm,
It wasn't what I thought was going to happen after 28 years. And then we had this disruption come in the business, which ultimately ended up destroying the business after I left. But there was my kids saw this last year of me at that business, and it was very hard on them. It was very hard on my family and my wife.
mm,
I've got friends who went through the same situation around the same thing I did, and we all have a very similar experience. The impact on our families and our children were real because we were
mm,
fighting for our lives. It was an existential threat to our businesses, and they saw that. So I thought when I exited, the most important thing was like I don't want my like people could take my company, but they'll never take me, and
mhm,
my kids need to understand that. And I'm not. I could like just hang it up and say that was the end of my experience in business, but that would be me being. I feel quitting, and
mm,
I won't quit. That's one thing people know me for. Like I will persevere. And so I was like, you can take the company, you can do whatever, you can say things about me, you can do whatever. But in the end, you can't take what's in my head and you can't take my drive and my vision. And I'm going to take that somewhere else. I will put that into a new vehicle. I'm going to get new investors. I'm going to bring a group of people together that are going to want to be a part of that. And my kids are a part of that. And they had to, I think, go through an experience to understand where their father ended up, today.
mhm. Yeah. So you're saying that they got to see that transition, and so you got to show them through actions, not just words, what that adversity overcoming looks like?
Yeah, yeah, and so I thought, I never thought they would experience that. I remember I waited till I was 47 to get married because I was traveling 200 days a year, and I figured I just don't have time for a family. And then I decided I'm getting old enough where it's time to like do something about this. And I met my wife, and we got married, and then we had kids right away. And but I didn't expect. I thought, okay, I've got a stable enough life. Like it was, the company was big enough, and there was a lot of stability there, a lot of certainty, a lot of comfort, and they saw that part of me, and now they see the uncomfortable. They see
Mm,
the change, the challenges. They see all of that, which is life. Like
mhm,
I thought it would be pretty bad. And it's not about the money. Like I could go on and maybe retire a venture, but it wasn't about that. It would be about them seeing someone defeated. They would see their father got defeated, and then he decided to get out of the game. And that's a very powerful motivating force for me. I got up and I got out and I came to California, Silicon Valley, and I started to work every day and started to build these two companies that I have, and I started to do things because they never saw there was no break in the action. I didn't even take a
mhm,
vacation. I was like, we're going. I came out to Silicon Valley, came back, told my wife, let's go. Everything's happening out here with AI. We packed up the kids and we left.
mm. It's awesome. I love it. And that's great. So where did you move to Silicon Valley?
I was
New
in New York,
York?
Connecticut. Yeah, we had two homes. We had one in Connecticut. We were in Connecticut because of COVID, and we stayed there. So I basically just packed up, sold the house in Connecticut, and then yeah, literally it was like October, November of 20. I guess it's 23, and then we just basically flew out
Uprooted.
here. That was
Yeah.
it. That was literally uprooted them and put them into school, and kids are malleable. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
plus we're coming to California, like it's good weather and stuff.
There's definitely worse places. Yeah. I'm actually originally from Silicon Valley.
You are where?
Yeah, yeah. So I was born in Oakland, and I lived in 13 different cities in the Bay Area.
Wow.
Growing up, my dad was also an entrepreneur, and he had to move us around a lot. And then I moved to Texas about 6 years ago. Sorry. So 6 years ago, I moved to Austin, and I've been here ever since. But very familiar with the density and proximity of thinkers and disruptors and capital allocators in Silicon Valley. There's no better place to build technology for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just need a change. It's like it was really about I've been in New York my whole life. I built a company there, although I traveled a lot. I just I know myself, like, and if you know how to make change happen, you need best thing to do is put yourself in a physical.
totally,
That's nothing to do, like make it all foreign. You don't have
totally.
because I always found like I really disliked. I mean, I built LivePerson for 28 years, and even I would have my leadership team, and people would not give me a break sometimes. Like I wanted to change, and I would change, but they would always look at you as the person from yesterday, not the future.
Mhm.
And I was always like, I don't want to deal with that. So same here. Like even my friends and everyone, and I had very close friends, still do, but I was like, I just want a different group of people that don't know me, didn't see that part of my life where they had to experience me every day complain, or like they were out to dinners and I'm like a zombie. They don't know anything. They just see me as Rob, the guy's out here starting a company who built a really big successful company. I don't have to like talk about how do you feel, or wow,
Yeah.
that no one ever even knew what happened in my
Yeah.
past. Like it's like I can't deal with like mental thinking, you know cognitive load about the past. It's such a waste of time.
It really is. Yeah. And I love that you just did that even at this stage of your career. It's freaking beautiful because it's so validating to think about like change, and it's never too late to change and make a difference, right? Like you're never too old to do that. You're never at the wrong stage of your career to do that. You can always pick back up and start something new. And it's kind of the same thing I've been telling my peers as well, because I moved here when I was 40, as an executive at a tech company, and I just did it because I just my thought process was it's too much calories to combat nominal changes here and there, because there's so much baggage, there's so much history and relationships that you carry. So if you want to make a stark difference in your life, it's a lot easier just to remove yourself and put yourself in a proximity of people that just think like you want to think, so that it's easier for you to change. The same thing with dieting and same thing with anything, right? So it's like, why is it different for business? I don't know. And so that was the same thesis I had, and I just uprooted myself and moved to Texas sight unseen. I've never been here before. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
funny they.
yeah. It's like and yeah, the root, it's like a Rubik's cube of life, and
Yeah,
the change part when the Rubik's cube's colors all change. You got to kind of like, it's not like you just sit there and look at it. You got to start working on something new, right?
totally,
And that's
totally.
what I thought. Like, I'll start working on something new, and I'll let my mind open up to what's out there. But I want to being here, there's an energy here that you have. Obviously, you got the Steve Jobs story, and you got out.
Yeah,
You have a foundation of creators here, and there's an energy here that allows that to happen. And
totally.
I never wanted to live here because I was a New Yorker. I don't know, and I had a pride about being a New Yorker, about
Yeah,
diversity and diversity of thinking. But here, when I flew out and just started to think about it and spend time with my friends and peers, I was like, this is just, yeah, an AI. It's like it's happening here right now. You can feel it.
totally, totally. Yeah, and I get the New Yorker thing too. I mean, I love visiting New York and I love my New York friends, but there's definitely a New York way of thinking as well too. It's not as diverse as you're making it sound.
It isn't.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing. It's like it's not, and people are like, unfortunately, they're like, there's a sad competition there. Like you compete for everything from a restaurant to where you live. And when I was young, it was great. When you have kids and stuff, it's like a little bit like old.
yeah.
I don't compete in some
Hmm.
weird game, and so it was better for me to compete differently here. But I find it's just better, and I've got a group of people I work with, and I got great investors, and like I'm just fortunate, when I
That's
can
great.
kind
That's
of do.
awesome. Yeah, I look forward to talking more about that later on, and hopefully we can stay in touch. I do have deep roots in, that's where I was born and raised, so I'm from that area. But yeah, I'd love to know more about your goals as it relates to parenting, because you're kind of like alluding to it a little bit, but I'd love to know because it sounds like you put a lot of thought into the kind of father you want to be in this next chapter. Can you just articulate that a little more clearly? What are your success goals in this chapter for your fatherhood journey?
I mean, the number one thing I want to give my kids is like it's funny, only recently I have a deeper relationship with God.
Hmm.
And it's probably because of the change that I went through in the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And I was talking to my son, my middle son, Leonardo, and I told him, like half the things I'm going to tell you, you're going to ignore.
Hmm.
In fact, you'll ignore all of them. 'Cause I ignored him from my dad too, because I expect you to be an independent thinker. Like
Right.
I don't want you to be me. Now they don't understand that because their perspective is that you want them to be you because you're giving them orders all the time of what to do and not to do because you don't want to see them not get hurt. It's parenting. Like they'll do dumb things, because I did dumb things, and
Right.
our goal is to make sure they don't do too many dumb things that are going to hurt them. And anyway, I was just telling him, I said, look, I if I could give you one, just one, I'm saying one thing is
Hmm.
just start building a relationship with God. And and it was funny because he said, oh, And I explained what that could be. And he said, oh, it's like a, what's the word? It's not shortcut, but it's like there's a name for it, like a millennial name for it. It's like a trick, not a trick, a power move, not a power move, but it's around, there's a word for it in language that's like, oh, this is like a shortcut in life. This is like a power move in life. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and that's how he looks at it. So
Yeah.
I have him doing things, and he's doing them on his own now. He's building habits around having that. Because I told him, I said, if you put God at the center, and by the way, I'm not here preaching Christianity or Judaism or Muslim. I don't even care whatever it is. I up to this point, I would every year in New Year's, I would make a diagram of like me in the middle, health, money,
Yeah.
business,
Your pillars.
right? The pillars, right?
Cool. Cool. Cool.
They're my pillars.
Yeah.
I somehow during this process, I went through a process in the last 2 years where if you put God at the middle, it's a simple thing. Put God at the middle and say, like, how would you want your health to be if you knew you were like an embodiment of God, if you were reflecting God, if you were put here by God? Like, would you want to hurt your health? Not
Mm.
like I'm at the middle and I need to get to a weight goal. It's starting to think about, like, if I put something in my mouth, would God do that? You understand?
Mm.
That's what it is. When I make decisions, would God make now if you want to boil it down to Christ or Buddha, it doesn't matter. You take it down to personification. I'm just saying, I just told him, if you can do that, you're going to have a different life, because it's not about the pillars in you. And once you stick yourself in the middle, it gets pretty, there's a lot of stress. It's only you.
Mm.
It's just you and your pillars
Mm-hmm.
versus it's like something else is there that I truly believe in is going to be there guiding me, helping me,
Mm-hmm.
supporting me,
Mm.
a conversation with me. And then you won't seek it out from others. You don't have to seek. So that's all I want. I literally, that's the only one thing I want my kids to have. The
Mm.
rest, like whatever, you know.
That's amazing. And you talk to all your kids about it, or just your middle son?
Well, yeah. So my middle son's the one say I've started the test and learn on.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. So I have my 5-year-old's a little young, but he's actually they go to Catholic school, so they're like
Yeah.
they got a little religious teacher there.
Yeah.
My daughter, who I think is the one to most absorb it, is the one I'm staying away from with it right now, because I think she's kind of got her thing, and but my middle son is the one that I'm really kind of testing and learning with.
Yeah. That's funny.
He's the middle kid. He's like the middle kid. I want to make sure he has all the tools, because he's kind of like squeezed all the time between his sister and his
Right.
brother. I think he
Right.
needs a tool. So
Yeah. I love that you're conscious about the middle child syndrome thing. That's funny. You're like intentionally battling it. Were you a middle child yourself?
no, I was a younger child,
Mm.
but I've read, I can, how many kids do you have again?
I have two.
Yeah. So when you have three, and you've heard the stories of three children, like there's horror
Yeah. Oh
stories.
yeah.
The
Oh
middle
yeah.
one becoming like a drug addict. I mean, it's like they always.
Oh yeah.
So I paid high attention, because I thought the amount of time I can invest now will pay off when they become adults, and maybe I
Hmm.
don't have to mentally think about them doing like weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my best. Like, I think my daughter's like the oldest daughter, so she's like really strong, and she's like the mother hen. My
Yeah.
young one's just he's a street fighter. That kid, like I don't even want to. Literally, I'm scared of him. Like he could rip your eyes out. Like if you mess, I tell people, don't mess with him. Do not pick him up. He doesn't like to be picked up like a doll. Like he will. He's like really. He's like he's scary.
Yeah.
And the middle one's more like he's sensitive. I always feel like I want to spend as much time as I can with him, because the one that he doesn't need the attention, but he's in a struggle all the time between he's like a little bit in the middle. He's like he's the sandwich. He's the meat in the sandwich.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you're conscious of it. That's great. And for whatever it's worth, I think that it's very, very cool that you are reconnecting with your religion, and also your kind of like thesis on how to make a decision matrix, actually, because you're carrying that into business. It's very intentional. Like it feels like you're not flipping a new chapter in a book. You're actually just like starting a new book.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting way of thinking about your journey so far. Is like, I'd say that you're actually trying to scrap the old book and say, hey, let's close it and let's put that in the shelf and remember it for what it's worth, but let's start a brand new book with new chapters, and try to like reset how you think about it and how you navigate it.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's interesting, because I've been a little bit more public about it. I posted some things on LinkedIn about an experience I had in Spain a year ago, and I did this walk of St. Ignatius, and I had some experiences there, and I've written some stuff about that, and so like people seem positive, but then like some people, like even customers like sent in, well, they were talking about like is this going to become a religious site? And it's not about that. It's about
Hmm.
it's not a message about join a religion. I'm not here to preach a religion. I'm just I've been through a lot in my life, like most adults. You know, you know that story. It's like, there's a monk in a town. I remember this story when I did a meditation for a while in India, like, and there was a story they told me about a monk who had this woman's a young kid, her son died, and she came to the head monk in the town and said, I'm the worst off in the town. I lost my 5-year-old son. He said, do me a favor, take this jar and go around to everyone in town and tell them to put a pea in there, like a bean inside, and come back. And she comes back like 3 weeks later, and there's a full jar of beans about who's got the worst experience in life.
Mm.
And the moral of the story is like, as you get older, you're going to get a lot more beans. And it's just life. And there's sickness, there's illness, there's death, there's things that are just really, on the other side. What do you do with that?
Hmm.
What do you do with that? Like, so if we all want to be happy, we want to have a life of some sort of calm and solitude. I mean, it's got to come from within, and that within, I think the easiest way to get there is to think there's and to work on a relationship with something that's greater than you.
Mm.
Whatever you believe that is. Once again, it's just because when you only believe in your own flesh and blood, it can get hard. It just gets hard. So yeah, it's a growth hack. Sorry, my son's called it a growth hack.
Nice.
That's what he called it. He says, like, a growth hack, Dad. I said, yeah. So maybe it's a growth hack.
Yeah.
I have a lot of growth hacks that I do between my health and work.
Yeah.
Consider it a growth hack.
Isn't growth hacking a business term? Isn't it more like slang for like, yeah, that's awesome. So your kids are already becoming entrepreneurs. They're already
Yeah, he's like,
indoctrinated.
because think about growing. Like, it's a growth
Yeah.
hack. I
Yeah.
could grow easier if I could do this thing. Well, I think humanity's take on trying to make it into a formalized religion, and it always will be fraught with problems because humans like toil and do bad things, and they have egos. But if you just can get above that and think something created the world we live in, it's a beautiful world. Something created me and put me on here for a reason, even if it's a dark day. There's a reason I'm experiencing that dark day, and I'm going to
Hmm.
learn from it. Not it's just I'm a victim, or it's just me, or I'm alone. I think it's just harder. It's a growth hack. It's like a
Yeah.
pure growth hack.
Dude, I love that. Yeah, that's wonderful. And so this kind of goes without saying, but I have to ask, are you excited about your kids, the idea of your kids being entrepreneurs themselves, or are you looking for them to be more sedated and do the W-2 life and break the family chain?
Look, I think entrepreneurism is it's a wonderful experience. You could be a writer and be an entrepreneur. I just think
Yeah.
it's not about building a business, but I think it's about following, and we all have a dream. And I think each of us has been giving a unique dream, and I think if all of us followed that, which may include going to becoming into a W-2, like,
Hmm.
so I'm saying, like, whatever that dream is, your individual dream, and you know what it is, just go do it.
Hmm.
And the problem is there's you know, so much around us about not to do the dream or follow someone else's dream or take a shortcut on the dream, and that's where people get unhappy, and then they wake up when it's too late, and life goes fast. So I remember one of the most interesting experiences I had in my life was a woman came up to me. I was speaking at a conference about being an entrepreneur. It was a pretty big conference. I remember it was like a couple thousand people, and this woman came up to me afterwards and she said, I enjoyed your speech. And I said, what do you do? She goes, I'm a banker at Goldman Sachs. I said, wow,
Mm.
amazing. And she goes, I'm very unhappy.
Mm.
I don't like my life. And I said, well, why don't you like life? She goes, just, I'm not, don't, I'm passionate about, it, but I make so much money.
Mm.
I said, well, what could you do if you wanted to without money? And she goes, baking. I love baking.
Wow.
She goes,
That's awesome.
no, she says, right, there wasn't even like, I couldn't get out of my house. She goes, baking bread. I love baking
That's
bread.
awesome.
I go, well, why don't you start a company to bake bread? She goes, you
That's
can't make
great.
money baking bread. I said, there's giant companies that bake bread.
Yeah.
Have a little bakery in your town and
Yeah.
make a living. But I promise you'll go to work every day and go, I'm happy. I'm happy. And that's all that matters. You just want everyone to figure out what it is to bake the bread.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so funny how fast it was, and it's so far from banking. I love it. It's just so
I knew it was like,
that's wonderful. Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's keep going with the questions here. What does your wife think about your transition and journey here, and you're moving like this over here? Yeah.
she was definitely excited by the whole thing.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she was definitely like, it was funny when we came out here. She said, I mean, she was excited for me, I guess. She said, "Aren't you excited that you're going to get to start a new company, a new life?" And
Yeah.
I said, "No, I'm not excited about that at all." I wasn't. I,
Hmm.
I was at the time just feeling that I was feeling off kilter. I wasn't feeling like I didn't know what would happen. I do know it's intense to build companies. Like the one thing I remember it was like it was an intense time. I don't know if I wanted to give that to my family,
Hmm.
but she was a support for me and has been a support and has just been there kind of going with it.
Hmm.
And and it had challenges, I think, for her, a lot of challenges, because it was a big change for her. She married
Hmm.
somebody, and then 6 7 years later, it's a different life than we had, and a different, even the way I work is very different. You're working 7 days a week, and so I think it's just been like you would expect from my wife, a big change. She's her thing. She's German, Italian, like from Germany and Italy, like her family. And her other thing is like you kind of just suck. It's like just suck it up. Like there's no complaints in the morning. It's like we're just gonna suck it up, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and just get through it. And
Is that a
yeah,
German Italian thing or a New York thing? I think that's more
very
of a New
German.
York
No,
thing.
it's like a very German. Like just suck it up. It's like
Yeah.
suck
Got
it
it.
up. So I think, but she's been a great support, and you can't do it without your spouse being there, and then also making sure the kids are feeling good about things and they feel engaged, because I sometimes can't spend as much time with them. But yeah, but it was change. It was change for everybody. It wasn't like a if I'm honest, it was a series of change for everyone who was close to me at the time.
But it sounds like overall she's adapting and very supportive of the changes and excited for you to be happy and explore this new realm.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she's here and she sees that I'm happy and I'm doing my thing. I think
Yeah.
she would like it to move. Like it takes time to build a company, and I think she's just like, let's get. And so I'm working as fast as I can. I got a company up and running like within 12 months, and but but outside of that, I think it's about just she's part of that experience, and I
Mm.
met her for a reason, and she came into my life for a reason. I'm very lucky, and without that, it'd be really hard to kind of like. I'm better for what I'm doing, having a family and my wife, than I was when I was alone sleeping on a couch when I started LivePerson. I was alone.
Mm.
I slept on a couch in an office. I had no money,
Yeah.
and even though that had its positives because I didn't have anything to worry
Yeah.
about me, there's something about navigating this all like you're in a team in your personal life and you have
Hmm.
family and you're more aware of things. I think it also makes you very much more focused. Like I have no time to waste because I have very limited time in my day, and then like so between my family and my work, that's all I have.
Yeah.
So when I'm single, I had a lot of time to do things, and
Yeah.
I don't have time to think anything. I do here. I go home, spend my times. I wake up in the morning, bring my kids to school, go to work. I like everything's just packed in.
That's right. Yeah. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Let me switch gears to my rapid fire questions so we have some similarities to all the
I have
guest
a few minutes
interviews.
left. Not to I have to jump on another. Not to. I just have a few minutes, but so
Yeah. Oh, what's that? You have a few
I have
minutes.
a
What?
few minutes left. Yeah, because I have to hop on another call. Just
Okay,
to
so we'll only do two of them then. Okay, so we can get you on your way. So first off is one piece of advice that you have for other parents or soon to be parents.
yeah. I mean, wow, it's actually a simple question, but a powerful one. The one piece of advice I would give is I want to give a funny one. It'll be before you cross the street. When you have a kid and he or she has walking legs, they get to walk. Before you cross the street, remember you have a kid with you. So, and you can use that as a parable if you want to. But the first time I walked out the door of my New York City house, and I had my daughter who walked, I for I was always for 40 something years, 48 years, I walked alone and would cross the street without knowing I've got another human with me. And
Yeah.
I started to walk when cars were coming.
Yeah. Oh my
Right.
gosh. So dangerous. I
Right.
love it.
I really was horrified. If my wife was there, she would have looked at me and said, like, I can't believe I married this guy. I really
Oh
look
man.
around and I see my daughter and I'm like halfway in the street and there's cars coming because I can walk fast.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, I realized it's me and another human, and
That's
the
right.
other human comes first before me. It was a
Yeah.
lesson that I learned at that very moment. I'm like, wait, whoa, I am not the primary walker in the family. I have to
You're
pay.
absolutely right. This is a parable for another story. It's a lesson. Yeah, exactly.
You'll unfold it the way you want to, but that's a parable.
I love it. Okay, to bring us home, when you're not building the next big AI company and being an awesome dad, what do you do for fun? What's your downtime activities?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't really have any time.
I sleep. You just sleep a little.
I don't even get to sleep. Yeah, I'm really proud about my sleep, but I don't. I mean, I like to play golf. I like
Nice.
nature, but I really don't. My downtime, I did right now at this very moment. I don't have any downtime activities either between work or I want to spend time with my children.
I love it.
I have 3 kids, so
Yeah.
there's more than one to have something to do with. So
Yeah.
that's my focus.
I love it. Rob, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with me and talk shop a little bit. That was really fun and enjoyable.
Same here, Young. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I'll talk to you soon. Let's stay in touch.
Let's stay in touch.